The UK's new government keeps trying to raise every tax that they can, and the headline might as well read, "The billionaires are fleeing the nasty UK like dogs." Because the Telegraph says actual billionaires and everyday wealthy people are leaving. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you how you can do it too. And I'm going to tell you why you should consider it. And I keep reading articles from London's Telegraph because every day there's a new tax, there's a new imperious proposal from the Labour government. But here's the article from Luke Johnson who says, "I know of 3 billionaires who have left Britain recently, and I understand there will be plenty of people who say, that's good, be gone with them." Yes, that's right, be gone with them until your country becomes some version of Zimbabwe. How do I know that's what people will do? Well, because our company helps our clients protect their wealth, protect their assets, have plan B places to go. One of the things we do is we help people get golden visas in countries like Spain, in countries like Portugal, in countries like Latvia. We help people have the optionality of moving to other countries in exchange for making investments in them, but they don't have to move to the country. So you can go to Portugal, get a golden visa by investing, spend a couple days per year there. Eventually you can apply for citizenship for yourself and your family, but you don't have to change your life. So basically you get the same naturalization privileges, but instead of spending time, you spend money. And those programs started because during the global financial crisis, people weren't buying real estate there. And so sellers were stuck. People were suffering. The government said, we got to do something to get some foreign investment in here. Oh, okay, we'll give you a visa. We'll make it so easy. Please come. And then it worked too well. And then eventually you have people saying, these foreigners are coming. Yeah, you invited them. This is why I believe dramatically in diversification. You want to have money, you want to have property, you want to have assets in different places, and you want those assets owned by companies and trusts and structures in different places because you never know what can happen. But in the UK, you do know, as this article says, that this new government wants to tax the hell out of you. None of these billionaires are public figures, so they will not be named, he says. But I can assure readers they have gone. Safeway. All 3 were born here. All were self-made. None were non-doms, the special tax regime where you can move and you pay basically on remittances only. Ireland, Malta, Cyprus retained their non-dom tax programs after the UK, under this new government, scrapped it. So you have folks who were from the UK, were probably proud to be British. They worked hard. They made money. I understand in these legacy brain countries, nobody's self-made anymore. It's all only because of the great school system. But these people were from Britain. They worked hard there. They weren't getting any special tax breaks. They were paying high income tax rates. They were paying capital gains tax rates. They were paying. And then they were asked to pay more, while at the same time being told they're not paying enough. I'm from the US originally, where the politicians act like everyone who makes $1 million a year is freeloading off the system. We deal with clients, including plenty from the US and other Western countries. They're paying 40, 45, and 50%. They are not taking advantage of whatever Warren Buffett's doing. And now in the UK, 3 billionaires, they were spit on until they've left. Britain, he says, doesn't have that many billionaires. And if I know 3 who have departed, you can be certain there are others who have quietly gone abroad to live as well. Bloomberg has reported that Alan Howard of Brevin Howard is also considering leaving. Okay, a lot of people are considering leaving in all fairness. Lots of people say it's terrible. We host Nomad Capitalist Live every year. It's our 4-day event. We bring together a great network of about 750, 800 people from all around the world who are doing this stuff. We bring you 4 days of nonstop information from our team that does this stuff. And we got a lot of entertainment. And from that, some people are convinced. But some people who come to our 4-day event, they'll get all jazzed up at the event. I gotta do something. This is fantastic. I love it. And then they'll go home and they'll settle into their old ways. So lots of people consider leaving. I always judge who actually is leaving. And it is not just the billionaires. It is everyday wealthy people. I'll tell you what, Nomad Capitalist is a bellwether. We have more people from the UK calling us than ever. They realize this time it's real. In my experience, that article continues, almost no rich people who leave publicize the facts. So the up-to-date facts on such movements are hard to obtain. And I can speak to that. I've been very open about my journey. Leaving the US was not nearly as tax motivated as people would like to think. Giving up my US citizenship was less tax motivated even than just leaving physically. I come out and publicly talk about it, and I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to take the slings and arrows. It's what I do. But I can understand that some people, they want to be private. We host client dinner parties around the world for our clients. We brought in, former president of Mexico, Vicente Fox, to one in Mexico City earlier this year. Some people don't want their picture taken, or they don't want to talk about where they're going. Maybe because their friends and family don't understand why they're moving to some weird country or getting a second passport. They don't want the social stigma. And yet I think there's a lot less social stigma than there used to be. Certainly, if you're not a celebrity, I think you can tell people, hey, I'm moving to Dubai. There's a lot less stigma about that than there was 20 years ago. But if you're a billionaire, if you're well known, you're going to be, someone that's going to be in the crosshairs for the next political attack ad. I know there are various reasons for each of them emigrating, but the key trigger will have been the arrival of an anti-wealth Labour government. I'm sure the deteriorating quality of life in London was a factor, such as you see people being threatened to be stabbed if they don't hand over a Rolex outside of some of the city's best restaurants. But I believe that if the government really does heap further tax punishment on the very high net worths in the budget this year, over time, many others will join those three billionaires. Here's the one thing that I felt myself more than the actual payment of the tax. It's the entitlement. And this is what, again, you're seeing from this new Labour government. It's one thing to say, hey, here's the price to pay. Here's what you get. It's a business transaction. Now, the roads in the UAE, or Oman, or Malaysia, or Singapore, or heck, even in plenty of parts of Serbia, are no worse and oftentimes better than the roads in the US, the UK, and other legacy brand countries. So if those countries all have lower taxes, what exactly are you getting? But okay, fine. Hey, we've got a deal, you pay. They're not nice about it. They come out and they attack you. Western politicians, the entire shtick now is these wealthy jerks aren't paying their fair share, and you know what? It's worked. The average person who doesn't know much about politics, who doesn't know much about wealth, thinks if you have some money that you're freeloading. What implications does that have? I will bet, sure, the guy going out stabbing people for Rolexes, maybe some of them are really struggling. But you know what? I will bet that there is at least some part of that that's emboldened by this jerk with his Rolex. He got that by not paying enough tax. He got that by not paying his fair share. You know what? Hey, I'm entitled to it. He's been freeloading for too long. I will bet there is some element of that. So you can say the taxes are an issue. And listen, once you're paying 40, 45, 50 or more cents on the dollar or the pound, yeah, that's a lot. Really? 50-50 business partner? Are they doing that much for you? Probably not. But beyond that, they're not even a joyful business partner. They hate you. And they're happy to go out for their own political objectives and say what a bad person you are. Who would want to live in a society like that? So it's not just about the actual financial cost. It's about the fact they're anti-wealth in every way. One critical factor, he continues, is that the world is vastly better connected than it used to be. Where have you heard that? You heard it here since 2012. Since the last time a soak-the-rich Labour government was in power. Yeah, you have more options. You can move to Panama City. You can move to Kuala Lumpur. You can move to Bangkok. You can move to Dubai. You can move to Doha. You can move to Mexico City, and people do. Oh, this doesn't sound as nice as London. Yeah, it's better. I could afford to live in London. I choose not to live in London. Simply don't. The world is better connected. You have more options. We've helped our clients close to 36 different countries that you can actually move to, and you can actually reduce your taxes. Could be to 0, could be to 1%, 2%, 5%, 10%. We do have more clients now saying, hey, I'll pay 10 or 15%. I'm not going to pay half, but I'll pay 15%. That's a fair share. I'm making millions. I will pay 15% if the country matches my values, the money goes to good things, I feel respected. We've had almost 36 such countries. We're not just here pushing everyone to go to Dubai like a lot of these guys. We have many options. We got 7 people full-time. All they do is research changes in immigration tax, citizenship, everything else. There's options. But what have we told you? For years I've told you this. Western legacy brand governments are holding on to the past. They're partying like it's 1999. They can't adapt. Because if they had to adapt, they'd have to be more competitive. Where I'm from in the US, there's a presidential election going on right now. One of the candidates and her current boss wants to ignore the fact that the rest of the world has somewhat lowered corporate tax rates because they realize we have to be kind of sort of competitive. And they want to go the opposite direction. They want to go back to some of the highest corporate tax rates in the world as if we all exist in a vacuum. Transport links, he says, are much improved about almost everywhere. The world's dramatically more mobile for the super rich than was the case in the past. There are also more desirable places for tax exiles to live these days. Italy, Greece, Switzerland, the UAE, and Portugal, well, no longer Portugal, offer attractive arrangements for entrepreneurs and investors from overseas. Of course, the traditional list, Monaco, not as good as people think. Bermuda, the Channel Islands like Jersey, I would add Gibraltar to that. Literally dozens and dozens of places. Because they decided, you know what, we gotta be competitive. Even Italy and Greece, it got bad enough. They said, all right, fine, come and we'll give you 15 years of low taxes. Please come, buy a house. We need you. Meanwhile, the UK, he says, is more dependent on the wealthy than ever before. The top 1% of income tax payers pay 29% of all income tax. Let those, if they don't like it, let them go. Okay, let them go. There goes 29% of your income. If you're in the top 1%, you're paying 29%. Listen, I'm not ashamed to be a business person. I'm not ashamed. We have a good service. We do a better job than anybody out there. Go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply. If you're in that 1%, I'd be happy to help you. You need to find a place to go, lower your taxes. It could be one place, it could be two places, it could be 6 places. Where's your home? Where's your tax residence? Is it a residence permit? Is it a citizenship? Do you need a second citizenship? Because they're going to be doing something to you extraterritorially eventually. What do you need? Do you need a trust? You need bank accounts. You're going to have to move a lot of stuff out of the UK. And it shouldn't just be to one place. Don't move all your money to Monaco. If you want to move to Monaco, do the minimum to get into Monaco and then put the rest of the money somewhere else where it's less bureaucratic service. This is what we do for people. The problem for Britain, if it loses its very rich, is not just that tax receipts fall. It's that these entrepreneurs and investors create and fund money that businesses which provide jobs, drive innovation, and in turn generate more tax. I do have a couple of British people working for me. Guess what? None of them live in the UK. They all moved. Not for the same reasons, but for similar reasons. They weren't getting their money's worth. The weather sucks. The food sucks. They said, I'm moving somewhere. I'm going where I'm treated best. And obviously an employee who's not a multi-million-dollar earner is going to have different needs than someone else, but the principle's the same. We all do what's best for ourselves and our families. And so what I'll tell you, I grew up in the US. We generally don't hire Americans. I don't feel this need to hire people from a country that I didn't particularly feel connected with. I have better social connections with people from somewhere else. I don't feel that just because I'm born there, I've got to hire those people. So when I left, I realized, okay, where can I hire people? That'll happen in the UK too. And it'll become a spiraling effect. Maybe eventually they'll hit rock bottom and they'll beg people to come in. I asked Nigel Farage at a past Nomad Capitalist Live, why don't you guys have a residence permit for investors or business owners that actually works for guys like me? I'll come, I'll move a subsidiary in, I'll pay some tax. I'm not going to give you 21% of millions upon millions upon millions, but I'll give you something. And if I want to live there personally, then I'll follow the non-dom regime. I'm not running the next Facebook, but I'll put some money in and I'll hire some people and they'll pay tax and I'll pay payroll tax, all that. Wouldn't that be a net positive? I said, why don't you guys have this? Like, we don't have it. And it's certainly not going to happen now under Labor. They don't want entrepreneurs to come in. So in closing, this guy says in his 40 years in business in Britain, the government's generally made the country an attractive place to start and grow companies and receive the rewards when there's success. Yeah, that kind of has been the last 40 years. And what have I been telling you? It's going to come to an end. Britain's got a lot of problems. 2.75 trillion pounds of national debt. They've got a 22 billion pound hole they've got to plug. And as always, all the politicians, it's your fault. The government, it says, will be foolish to take their prosperity for granted. It derives from a combination of ideas and capital, delivering new products and services the world wants to buy. So many alternatives, and people are realizing that. So again, where do you go? Where do you pay tax? Not a lot of places you're going to pay more tax, okay? We're not going to France. We're not going to Germany. Cross those up. We're not going to the US. Cross it up the list. Dozens of places you can go. You want good weather. You want bad weather. You want beautiful women. You want not so beautiful. Whatever you want, you can find it. nomadcapitalist.com/apply. You have options. You're paying 29 times your population, and they don't want to listen. People are leaving. I'm not going to tell you what you should do, but I'll tell you what you can do. If you stay in the UK, you got to pay, follow the law. But if you legally get yourself out of the tax system, you can keep more of your own money. And who knows what impact you could have on the world when you redeploy that money back into your business or into your favorite causes.